Just a quick disclosure to share in conjunction with this podcast. Each of us are speaking to our personal experiences and do not consider ourselves experts and cannot offer medical, therapy, financial, or legal advice. We represent a wide range of experience on the autism spectrum and will always honor each perspective that is brought to our discussions. Our experiences, opinions, and perspectives are all unique and different and will be celebrated. Thank you so much for listening and connecting with us. Thank you. Welcome to Navigating Adult Autism. We're just a bunch of moms with a lot of experience, a lot of opinions, and a lot of perspectives. I'm Mary, and I'm here with Elizabeth, Dawn, Tara, and Heather. And our topic is, we're going to just discuss some stories, some personal stories too, but the most important, well, not the most important, that wasn't right to say because you're important too, Elizabeth. So sorry. We're all important, right, Dawn? We are all important here tonight. The Authentic Awareness Conference was recently put on by the National Council of Severe Autism. And as you know, if you're an avid listener, a couple of our parents have severe autism children, and Heather is one of them. And she's going to talk a little bit about her little trip to Washington.
Little trip.
Yeah. And I didn't know that Zachary was on the, I want to say paperwork.
Yeah,
but that's
he was
not
on
right.
the poster. He was on the event poster. We did not know either.
You didn't know that? Because I thought you didn't tell us that beforehand.
No, they didn't tell us. We walked into, to get all of our stuff that first day. And Michael's like,
did you cry? Did you have tears in your eyes?
Well, I was pretty, I thought, that's awfully sweet. And we ended up talking to the executive director. I guess she's the one that did it. And she's like, well, because we had to send in pictures for our kids so that we could advocate. We wanted to show our picture.
Okay.
And they printed those for us. So each advocate could send in a picture. And so she said she just picked 3 or 4 from all those that the parents had sent in. And then Zachary got chosen. I was like, oh
my gosh, I love that.
How many attended?
There was spots for 120 people. Yeah. And I will tell you that, so it was in Washington, D.C. It was on April 2nd. We went, let me think. It was it World Autism Day? I think that we were actually on Capitol Hill. And then the day before we had a whole day of training. And they did like possible scenarios and stuff of what you might experience when you're talking to your senator or your congressman or whatever, because most of the time, obviously, you're not seeing them. You're seeing their legislative aides and things like that. And they were talking about that, the spectrum is so wide that you could actually have somebody meet with somebody that might be of a different opinion or a different place on the spectrum than, because obviously, this is, the council's called severe autism. So
right.
We're talking about the severe profound end, and that's what we were advocating for. And so they just kind of, gave us some points and ways to understand and maybe still get our asks in, even if somebody was kind of opposing of, what we might be talking about. But so I drugged Michael. He's not a big traveler. And I said, I'm sorry, but you're just going to have to do this with me. And then I booked the ticket. And then, and honestly, we were both really nervous about going because it's a big deal to leave and to leave Zachary. And we had to take 2 planes to get there and 2 planes to get home. And we're not very good flyers and things like that. But we just thought the purpose was, we just did it.
It's bigger than your fears.
That's right.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that was very eloquent. I had no eloquent things to say. Anyway, but yeah, there was 120 parents. I met grandparents. What struck me is we got to have like a mixer the night of the training. And then I sat by a few people when we were training. We didn't know anybody. So we met a grandmother from Kansas. She was 75. We met another couple that were also in their late 70s from the East Coast, and they were still advocating for their son that was, I think, probably, I feel like late 30s, 40s, something like that. But it was interesting. And then there were 14 people there, 13 or 14, that actually were on the spectrum. They got, if you could bring your kid, your adult or whatever with autism, then you certainly could.
Okay.
And so 13 of them made the trip. I assume they probably lived a little bit closer because we couldn't have gotten Zachary there. And then what would he have done while we were training? So it wouldn't have worked. But if we'd lived close and we could have like driven a couple hours and gotten there, that would have been great. But so there was 13 or 14 of them on Capitol Hill, which I thought was awesome.
That is.
Yeah, because that's no better example but to meet the people, right?
Right. Yeah. So those, how did they interact on that
the individuals?
Day?
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Were they, I mean, did they communicate with a device? Did they?
Oh, yeah. Like, I didn't get to meet all of them. I know that some of the leadership there there were 2 daughters that got to come, and Michael got to dance with one of them. Oh. She was just doing her own thing. And she was just dancing, having fun. And, you can't, at least in our experiences, like Zachary's not a sitter. He doesn't sit and listen and attend to things. Mm-hmm. So she was a lot like Zachary, kind of dancing around, doing some stimming, whatever. And so we got to meet them. But yeah, I saw a few devices, I would say, AAC devices. But most of the people that the parents were representing weren't there. So we had 8x10 pictures to show. But it was neat having them while we were training, because it felt like, even though you couldn't have your own kid, let's say, because Zachary couldn't handle it, it was nice to see that some of them could. Obviously, all had people that were there to help. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, because all of them
kind
are
of brought
pretty
it
much
close to home. Like, it was the reason you were there.
It was really neat to see them.
Was it a limited number? Like you said, 120. Is that how many registered, or was that?
Yeah, this is how many spots they had. I don't know. It was their first year to do this. This is the first time. So I assume it will be something they do annually. And if you're not familiar with the National Council on Severe Autism, they're really policy driven. Like, I was going to read their mission, that pursuing recognition, policy, and solutions for the surging population of individuals, families, and caregivers affected by severe forms of autism. So the 4 things that we were there for, there's so many needs, right, for adults on the spectrum at this point. I mean, from respite to who knows what. I mean, there's just so many. But they narrowed it down to 4 for us, and then told us to choose one of those things that felt easier for us to talk about, more important, to us specifically. Because, the meetings, we had nobody with us in the meeting. So it was just me and Michael, because there was only 4 people from Missouri specifically. And so that included the state chapter person and another person that was with her, and she had other duties and stuff that day. So we talked to, Josh Hawley's office and all that by ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I had been there once, like 20 years ago, but I was with a large group and I didn't have to do anything on my own. People were guiding me. They helped me find the buildings. You know what I mean? We went through security together. And so this was a little bit overwhelming to go like, okay, we got to take an Uber and we got to figure out where at the Capitol we got to go. And then you got to go through security in every building. And it was just intimidating is what I would say. Mm-hmm. Because, it's very fancy. It's, and even trying to get something to eat, it was hilarious because we were in a Senate building and we were starving. Like, we're going to have a blood sugar low before we talk to these people. Mm-hmm. And so Michael actually Googled, like, can you eat something in this building, And you could. And so we had to eat. There was a Dunkin' Donuts and then like a cafeteria type place. It was packed. It was like high noon and we were in the Senate building. And obviously we looked like we did not belong there because they all had suits on. Everybody had a dark suit. They were obviously politicians or working for politicians. Mm-hmm. And I was like, can we even eat here? Like, is that even allowed? And so we noticed there was a lane that didn't say members, So it was like, oh, okay, regular old people can eat. But so we, so we had a quick snack and prepped ourselves to go. But anyway, the 4 asks that we were supposed to talk about and pick from was, urging them to declare autism as a public health emergency. That was one of our choices and things that many people I know ask for. And that is, I guess that gives us a quicker realization for funds and things like that. So they work quicker if something is a public health emergency. And then the other one was sharing a specific statement about the changes in Medicaid. And NCSA, I mean, I'm not going to speak for but there's good things and bad things about, right? Like the supposed cuts and the things that everybody's worried about. But the hope that they will identify gaps in the disability community and not cut things and expand other things, because there's not respite, there's not housing, there's all these deficits that are here that we need to work on. So the other one, and this is the one we chose, was asking them to make sure that the CARES Act, it was recently December with Biden, with that administration, it was bipartisanly voted, the revised version of the CARES Act was approved. And so the question and the ask that we had was, can you make sure that the revisions are actually done? Because part of the revision was that profound people are not included in research studies.
You're kidding.
Yeah, no, less than 6%. So what had happened historically, from what I'm understanding, and again, I'm not expert, but when they changed the diagnostic, when they went from Asperger's and autism and PDD, what was it? PDD, NOS? Yeah. Was that like 2013 or 14? I think it was around there. And they were saying that there was pressure from different organizations and things. And so that is like in the very beginning with Autism CARES Act, like probably when I was there 20 years ago, because that's what we were there to talk about. We did have, our pediatrician would call it classic autism, whatever you want to call it, but profound, severe, whatever, just debilitating autism. How about let's just pick a word for it. Right. But they were included originally, but then that filtered out because that was not the, I think I talked about this before in another episode that, even researchers would have pressure why would you be researching autism? I mean, that question's still swirling around. Wow. So yeah, it was down to 6% of people. And so we've raised a lot of money for research through the years, through the walk that we've had here in our community that we've all participated in, and
the autism walk and the
other event that we had planned. So research has always been, so I thought, 20 years, I'm back talking about, I'm making the same ask. So that was a little bit depressing, but yeah, asking them to use their oversight power to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, and Dawn wanted to remind you to talk about your Shootout for Autism. That was part of the funds that you raised for.
Let me,
right?
Yeah, I'll tell you the last issue, and then I'll talk real quick about the Shootout for Autism.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh no, you're fine. Of course. I just didn't want to forget this part in case.
No.
In case somebody wants to know. So the last one was addressing housing needs.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I can't tell you there's just such a lack. But we also, Together for Choice is an organization that I would just refer anybody if they want to get involved in legislative stuff for housing. They were there and partnered with NCSA.
Together for Choice.
Together for Choice. They're fighting for housing, and not just housing, but like choice of housing. There's some laws that need to be altered so that people can live not just in an ISL. We can't build farm communities and different options in Missouri. We're not able to do that. So that's a great organization. And then Autism Science Foundation is who is representing like the CARES Act and the research. They've got a really great handout that we got to give the legislators.
Can you say that one more time? Autism?
It's Autism Science Foundation.
Okay.
And they're doing I just saw on their website, they were giving several people money for grants for autism. So they're in that research area. So this was a great kind of trio of people that we got to see. So anyway,
wow. Were you impressed with one more than the other, or was it just all?
They're all good. I kind of followed them all before. I just didn't know they were going to come together for this particular event. Like a lot of their presidents and things spoke at our training.
Okay.
So it was neat to see kind of what is really going on, and that they're all actively working on the hill, like
And
even when
recognize
we're
the
not there.
problem. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So, and they understand government a lot better than
So how did
Michael or I.
how did it go when you spoke?
So we had great people. We had young adults, probably, I don't know, in their late 20s or something like that we met with, all men, and they were very friendly. Took our wares. So we
were
certainly
peddling
we were
wares.
peddling folders that we needed to take, and then it was a great conversation. They were the people we met actually all had some sort of connection through their wife or themselves with autism, so it was really easy to talk to them once we got in there. It wasn't intimidating. And then showed them Zachary's picture and just talked a little bit about that, and then they exchanged information with us. And so then as soon as I got home, then I emailed them just to follow up. And because the thought process was, could we help? Because we can't go to DC it costs a lot of money really to go. And Lord knows I can't leave Zachary very often. So, but they were talking about how, each congressman and senator have offices in your local area, and that once you make that connection, then you can work with them a little bit more and stuff. So we're excited about, because you can only do what you got to do.
You have a name and a face.
Yes. Yeah.
Of someone who can.
Yeah. And
get your target. I don't know. Get your presentation to the right people.
We spent. I say this with love, but it was kind of a expensive trip. We had 20 minutes apiece with these people to talk with them. That's all. You're going there for 20 good minutes, hopefully. And you hope you leave an impression, and you hate to just leave it there and not follow up with anybody, because then it's like you never know if, your conversation actually helped with something.
I'm sure you did a good job.
Anyway, we talked.
The power of story.
Yeah. Yes.
Who did you meet with? Which of our Missouri
we met with all
legislators? All of them.
Yeah. So what happens is when you sign up for something like this, before when I did it too, with another organization, they make the appointments for you. Okay. So they already have your schedule and who you're going to meet with. And but like in other states, there were a lot of people there. So like New Jersey, let's say, I don't remember how many, but they might have had 30 people. So all 30 of them went to meet with the senator, right? Oh, so then it was like, yes. And so not all of them could even talk, but yet they could all hold their picture up, and they had strength in numbers.
Yeah. Right.
And that's what we missed in Missouri, because, it was just me and Michael.
Okay. So we have two senators.
But you filled your 20 minutes, didn't you?
We filled our 20 minutes.
Yeah, she got her 20 minutes fully. That's
so Burleson and Holly and
it starts with the SH.
Yeah, Schmidt.
Yeah.
Eric Schmidt. Mm-hmm. So just out of curiosity, Eric Schmidt's office, how receptive were they?
Well, I think they were all really receptive, honestly. Okay. I had no contact with any of them before. You know what I mean?
Do you know anything about Eric Schmidt's? From what?
Yes, I've seen him in social media, so I know that, yes, I do.
So
I know
would his child be classified as profound autism?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I don't know.
Dad, I didn't know.
I'm not sure. And of course we didn't meet with him specifically. You know what I mean? But I think all of them were very open. The thing that tells me the most is that unanimously Autism Cares Act was approved by Democrats and Republicans.
Good.
All of them. No one voted no, which makes me happy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. Well, our numbers, we're a sizable voting bloc.
Yeah.
If our numbers are truly 1 in 31, and the thought hit me, so what does that mean for parents? Does that mean 1 out of every 15, 16 parents that you see out there is going to be an autism parent?
Right.
Yeah.
So
I didn't think about it that way. Good point.
Yeah. So, man, we have numbers, and with that numbers, and we have a story.
Yeah.
That's right, Dawn.
So we're glad we did it.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to fly on a plane again yet.
Did you guys get, I know that you were busy the whole time, but did you get any respite? Did you and Michael have a good time?
Yeah, I was wondering, did you go to the museum?
Well, no, we didn't have any time. Like we flew in just in the time that we needed to be there. Because Zachary, of course, says mama and daddy after 24 hours of us being gone. So, Tuesday was busy. They had us with like training all day, and then we had a dinner mixer kind of thing. And then the next day you were on the hill until 4:30. And so we were, I was in a dress, hot and sweaty. But I was like, we should go, because I'd been there before many years ago, and Michael had never seen anything. And I said, could we just try to get to Lincoln Memorial or something? So we did go there.
Good.
And then found a place to eat. So that was the first.
So you walked the whole mall?
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, in a dress. That's a good.
Because they
that's
said
a good walk.
They said it was 3 miles.
Yeah, it's 3 miles.
Yeah, it was 3 miles from where we were. And when you look at just the heaviness of the traffic, and it was a hot day, and Michael's like, we're not walking 3 miles. I'm not sure we'd make it to Lincoln if we walked it.
It looks like it's just right there.
Yes. Yeah. So we took an Uber. The Ubers are great, but
it was still good for
cheap.
you guys to.
Yeah. So we went there and ate dinner, and then we had to leave 4 a.m. They picked us up to go to the.
Wow.
Yeah. We took the first flight out.
Oh, did you? Okay.
We did. Yeah.
Okay, so
Let's get back to Zachary.
What are the numbers for severe profound autism?
So 26.7 technically. So you might hear round at 27. I know it's something I watched on television. They said around 30, but it's 26.7 according to the CDC, which only started tracking this, as we know, like last year. So these numbers aren't like updated from another number. We've never had the numbers before.
Really?
So now we can,
You mean the separation?
Right. They've never separated it out before.
Interesting.
So
I cannot believe it took this long for that to happen. That's pathetic, actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's pathetic.
But at least now we have an idea.
Wait,
right.
Do you know the other percentages of the other levels?
Like levels? I do not. I don't know that they report it that way.
That would be interesting because of course, my son's level 1, but the level 1 persons with autism have a voice to, make a movement, but, profoundly autistic individuals have to mostly rely on their parents and they're busy.
Yes. Busy, and also sometimes people that aren't on that end get upset with parents because they don't think we should be advocating, that in some way our kids should be advocating for themselves, but literally they can't. So,
of course.
Yeah. So that causes some, it's an off-putting situation.
And if you are one of those people, you need to rethink your judgment of our profoundly autistic parents because, those with profoundly autistic individual children.
Right.
Because that's just insane.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So just can you summarize for us what the DSM-5 would say? How do you get to be classified as level 3?
Well, off the top of my head, I just know it's the level of support needed, and Elizabeth might have memorized this in her head, but 24/7. So what we would define as profound or severe, like when we're talking to people, is 24/7 care. Just straight away. That's a basic. They have to have support 24/7. And then they talk a little bit about verbal and having intellectual disability and part of that. But in general, just a generalized way of thinking is that these people can't be alone. They need 24/7 care.
They can never be alone.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. And they have limited or no language.
Right.
And their parent is their voice.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
and when you live with your child with profound autism, you're not speaking over them. You are speaking with them. They just can't verbalize, because I know if Nathan doesn't have a good time somewhere, or if he's afraid, or if there's something bothering him, we know because we're with them 24/7.
Right. Yeah.
You
kind of know somebody when you spend every minute with them.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
We get to know them. We're not just guessing. We're not, we spend our whole lives
learning them. Because one, we got to keep them safe.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to keep them healthy, and just looking at those basic needs, not even the therapies and the things that help them progress and all the goals we write, just keeping them safe, healthy,
and learning
and
learning to
engaged.
look at them and learn their behaviors and look at their communication. Like I can just see you assessing them all the time. What are they saying? What are they thinking? What are they? I mean, you do that anyway with your kids, but you really have to do it.
Oh, yeah. Because sometimes people will get worried because they'll hear Nathan make a sound. I'm like, oh, no, that's a happy sound.
Right.
No, he's very happy to see you. It's not distressed. There's a little different sound if it's distress. And you look at his face or his body language at the same time. And to us, they are profoundly different.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're trying to. There are organizations that are thankfully helping. What they're as we talked about before when we did our Profound episode. Profound is really what they're wanting to be is a medical diagnostic term, and then severe is what we have right now. Right? It's just we say that's just a word we use, but profound. They're wanting a diagnosis of profound so that we can just tie this stuff up and let's get going because this is, our opinion, but like Michael and I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but like, it's just too broad right now. Everyone's fighting. And if people are almost like disturbed by being in the same group as us, which that's the feeling that we get is that some other people, whatever, whether they're self-diagnosed, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just, I'm saying that find themselves on other parts. They seem to be not wanting to be associated with families like us. And you know what? I don't care. It's not even about that. So you're not going to hurt my feelings. I just need the support and the research and stuff done. So if you want to call it profound and change it from the 3 levels and get us back to a little bit, it didn't seem so crazy when it was the original before the changes in 2013.
Right.
Because people could identify specifically with a different
They
word.
knew what you were talking about.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll see.
And if you don't know the DSM, you don't know if the level 1 is up, you don't know which way it goes.
Yeah.
Which part is the highest functioning or the lowest functioning,
Yeah.
it's not very explanatory.
And actually, when we saw Temple, is that what you're going to say? Good. No, because you're going to do better at it because I can't remember the 2. But she mentioned the 3.
Yeah, so
that was very interesting.
Yeah, she it was
This is
wonderful.
Temple Grandin.
Mary and I and Cynthia was there with us. We went and listened to Temple Grandin speak. And she broke down to like 3 different categories, not really associated with the levels, and then really said, let's focus on those that, that we can do something about. We're doing therapy or that we need to, everybody's different. And she said, she put them in 3 categories: never speaking, the regressive. So they were developing normally and regressive. She said a lot of those individuals actually have epilepsy as well.
They had language till they were 2, or
they don't have, they regressed after
yes.
they had gained some language. And then the other was more of those that developed with echolalia. So, and I mean, there's a lot more. Not everybody's going to fit into those 3, but she was looking at those 3 broad categories. And
she explained it really well.
Yeah, and she talked about, the ones that with the epilepsy and the regression, is there something that we can do? Because we were on a developmental path and we can treat epilepsy, not my son's epilepsy, because we're learning he's med resistant. But, is there something we can do in those cases? Because we're looking at an additional medical issue going on top. So, she did a really good job.
She did. She said, we need to do something about that. There needs to be research on that, and she really pushed that. Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting. So do you want to talk about your shootout really quick, or?
The shootout it's our 20th year. I say our because we're not doing it anymore, but we started it 20 years ago. And
it was for research.
It was, the money all went to research, through Autism Speaks. And, and so it was just a sporting, it's a sporting clays tournament that's here locally. We're in a really outdoor kind of world in here in the Ozarks. And we just thought, what could we do other than a golf tournament? Because everybody was doing golf tournaments at that point. And so we thought, let's just do something Michael likes to do, which is let's shoot some clays. Anyway, and then when Zachary was in high school, we were anticipating and stressed out about the transition of guardianship and adulthood and all that stuff. So we decided it was time. We had transitioned the funding to go from research to individuals at a local provider, Nova Center of the Ozarks, because I was just learning as Zachary was getting a little older that there are adults, like Zachary, that have no family left. They're left with just the SSI that they receive. And then, they can't really afford other basic necessities that most people would take for granted. So we decided that money needed to transition to Nova. And then when we got tired, it was the 13th year, I think, we handed the event over to them. And I can say, thankfully, that they have done a great job every year. Good. Got us to the 20th year, and they're raising like 25,000 a year, which is, money that wasn't there before, that can help any of the individuals for whatever they need. Occasionally I'll get a quick note that, we've bought everything from a gravestone to a bed, to a camp trips, you know what I mean? Just anything that extra, because I had learned that from Connie Klein, actually. She was telling me about how, you can't go to Wendy's, you can't buy underwear, Heather. Like, there's just certain things. You're how much ever money you're getting these individuals, it doesn't go very far, which is why they generally have to live together, And so, so it's still going strong, 20 years. So we're excited. Yeah.
I remember when we were at a SWAN meeting, he came, your husband came and was talking about it. And it really impressed me because he was kind of speaking to the dads, if you're, maybe you work all day and you just don't feel a part, you feel something, and it's just a great way for you to use your energy, or that you're not processing this very well or coping. Find something that feels good to you and give and do that input. Were you there, Dawn?
Yeah.
Remember that?
I love that.
I think I was there
I
too.
was, but I should have remembered that.
Do you have a website, Heather?
Well, now it's on, we did have a website, but we gave it over. We gave everything that we had like that to Nova. So you can just find it on Nova Center of the Ozarks.
I think what impresses me most, in addition to what Elizabeth just said, Michael said, but was the fact that you did something about it.
Yeah.
You found a creative way to raise money, and it wasn't a golf tournament, as you said. And I think...
And Michael doesn't like to golf.
Hey, okay. So if he'd like to golf, he might have been doing it.
Maybe, I guess.
I think there's a lesson there for us. There's another local family here, and I know I've complained on the podcast. We didn't invest near enough money in therapies for my son, and it was always money was an excuse. And this mom put together pumpkin rolls around Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Yeah.
We all support each other.
Raised money for necessary therapies. And, you just look at that and you go, okay, stop complaining, whining, and go do something.
We found that, and I think all of us here, because we've all been doing, Don's done all sorts of volunteer work forever, as we all have. But I think the difference is that, yes, you choose your perspective, in my opinion. And to me, what helps me sleep at night for the last 23 years is knowing that I'm doing what I can. Even like Zachary's page or whatever, people just like, oh, she's got a Facebook page. Yeah, actually, it's kind of a mission-based thing for me.
Of course.
I know people think it's just a Facebook page, but like, what can I do as an isolated mom who doesn't get out of the house? I can do that. So the shootout was, we were young parents, had no money to do anything, but our thought was like, we have to, I think even with Zachary not being able to talk to him about it, because he had, no language, I just think that we just promised him that we'd do whatever we could for the community, He never got $1 from 20 years of the shootout money. That's not what we were doing it for. But were we helping our community at large, disability community, the autism community? And that made us feel better.
Right. We did.
I've never given service and not felt better about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And you had a large family that helped you. The community helped you. We don't shoot clay, but we went.
Yeah, a lot of people would come even
year.
if they didn't want to.
And you also had a shootout up north that we went to that one time. And I won that little 22 pistol.
Oh yeah, we had a doubles thing that we did too for a little bit there too. And the thing is, it just took all year to do it.
Yeah,
you had to plan all year. It took a lot of time. So I'm glad Nova's continuing to do it.
Me too.
But I think story with action, it doesn't matter how big it is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think it just makes us feel like we're doing what we can.
So we'll follow up with the National Council of Severe Autism if they're going to do it annually, and just to see kind of how that progresses and what research. That's a great. Thanks for sharing your story, Heather.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sharing your story has changed people's perspectives.
That's right.
I mean, it's changed mine because I know, I know the middle of the perspective of the spectrum.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just time. It's it's way overdue to bring attention to severe autism for sure. So,
well, I think it's also changed all of our perspectives because we all have different stories, and now we're actually changing other people's perspectives because now we're on air and everybody has to listen to us.
We're talking about it on the microphone.
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
Instead of at dinner.
And one thing that I've always, tried to remember too is, we do have this, the severe, this profound, but my heart also goes out to those that, we'll say Nathan walks in a room and he gets services thrown at him, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My heart goes out to those who have to fight for those services.
Right.
Absolutely.
That has to fight for maybe extra time on a test or an accommodation or against bullying.
Yeah, good point.
I think
it's not lost. It's not lost on us. Your struggles, everybody's struggles, are not lost on us.
No, and I think that's the sad part to me because being on that severe end or whatever, Zachary, I want good things for all of them, everybody. Yeah. I don't care what level you're on, but somehow, but we do get it from I don't feel the love,
right,
necessarily from there. But I mean, I don't think any parent really, anybody that I would have met at this conference or anything would want bad things for anybody that has the diagnosis of autism, regardless of the level. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We just want that same whatever to come back to us so that we can just,
So not forgotten.
Yeah,
not
right.
Forgotten and out of sight,
Yeah. Almost jealous a little bit too, Elizabeth, when you were talking about being with your son 24/7 so that you know him so well. There are times I have to admit, I don't know my son that well. I don't spend 24/7. I have a feeling if a stopwatch was on me, I'm with him in the car. We don't talk in the car. He goes to work. When he comes home from work, he goes to his room and he's on the Xbox, So, maybe if I spent more time with him, I would know him better.
Mm-hmm. You can play video
and be
games
able to help him.
That would shock him if he'd walk in his room and say, "Can I play too?"
Does he talk over his headset?
Give it a whirl.
He talks over the headset, and my hand-eye coordination is so bad. It
might improve.
Well, yeah, okay.
Tara, where can they find us?
Okay, you can hear us on Apple or Spotify under Navigating Adult Autism Podcast, and you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and now YouTube under Navigating Adult Autism Podcast. And you can contact us at moms@navigatingadultautism.com.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.